with your host, Dr. Manju.
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Chai with Manju called Trailblazers, where we showcase those individuals who have carved their own path to make their dreams a reality. One such person is Mr. Jayant Sinha. He left his great life in Boston, a partnership in McKinsey, to serve people in India. He has become a strong voice in Indian politics and has held many prestigious positions like Ministry of State for Finance, for Civil Aviation, and the chairperson for Standing Committee of Finance and Public Accounts. Let's meet him. Hello, Jayanji. It is such an honor for us to have you on our show today.
Namaskar, Manjuji, and it's a real pleasure to be with my friends from Boston again, and a wonderful delight to be on your show today.
Jayanji, you've had a life that's a true Indian American dream. IIT Delhi, then MSN University of Pennsylvania, Harvard Business School with distinction, then a partnership in McKinsey. Yet you left it all to serve people in India, as you call it, Harvard to Hazaribagh. Was there a defining moment in your life when you made that decision, or was it something at the back of your mind always, since you grew up as a son of a very well-known politician, Mr. Yashwant Sinha?
It was much more, Manjuji, a goal that grew on me. And of course, as you correctly point out, my father had been in public life in India for decades. And seeing the impact that he had and his ability to serve the country, serve the people of India, was a real inspiration for me as well. And so you reach a moment in your professional career where you by and large feel you've accomplished most of what you set out to do. And then you start to look for new ways of serving people, new ways of making a difference. And that's when I began to think that going back to India and being there to serve the people of India might be something that could be very rewarding and fulfilling. And so that's why I then, began the process of joining public life in India. And of course, that is a journey, that is an apprenticeship. And it took me some time to be able to pull it all together. But I was very fortunate to fight for Lok Sabha elections in 2014.
Right. Now, you've held so many prestigious positions. Where do you think that you have made maximum impact, in your opinion?
That's a tough question, Manjuji, because it's like picking amongst your children. Obviously, I've been very fortunate in the various roles that I have held. Of course, in the Ministry of Finance and then Ministry of Civil Aviation. In both those, ministerial positions, we were able to do, I think, quite remarkable things. Ministry of Finance, of course, we were able to present 2 landmark budgets. We got the alternative investment funds structure created. We created the National Infrastructure Fund for India. We got the Higher Education Financing Agency created. I was fortunate to be able to present and then get the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code passed in Parliament, which was a signal accomplishment. And of course, then worked extensively on the GST framework that was implemented. So, tremendous opportunities to contribute in the Ministry of Finance. And then in civil aviation, of course, we got the UDAN scheme going, which increased the number of airports in India from 70 to 105. So 50% increase in airports in just 3 years. And then, of course, we got 2 major digital initiatives, Digital Sky and DigiYatra launch. So tremendous opportunities to do things in the ministries. And now in this role that I'm in, chairman of the Standing Committee on Finance, again, it's been a tremendous privilege to work with very senior members of parliament like Dr. Manmohan Singh, Shri Praful Patel, Shri Manish Tiwari ji, and others. To look at legislation, to look at policies that the government is bringing to Parliament. So extraordinary opportunity in the Standing Committee on Finance. But what I will say that, my proudest work and the work that gives me the most satisfaction is the work that I've done for the people of Hazaribagh. We have a total population across 2 districts, Hazaribagh and Ramgarh, of about 25 lakh people, 2.5 million people. Of course, over the last 6 years, we've accomplished tremendous things from a development point of view. We've set up a medical college and a 500-bed hospital. We've got Akshay Patra to Hazaribagh. We've
Yes.
started a railway line in Hazaribagh. We've built two big highways. We've started a huge thermal power plant of 4,000 megawatt thermal power plant, the biggest single project in Jharkhand. Has been started in my constituency. So all of these different development things that we've done has made a huge difference for the people of Hazaribagh. And of course, all the different government schemes that have been launched, Jan Dhan Yojana, Ayushman Bharat, Ujjwala Yojana, Ujala Yojana, all these different yojanas, so that every household now in Hazaribagh has a bank account, they have a toilet, they have electricity, they have a pakka road in their village. All these things we've been able to accomplish in 6 years. So, what I take the most pride in is that the 25 lakh people of Hazaribagh have got development at a speed and in a scale and a scope that has never been achieved before. And that really gives me, I think, the most satisfaction, Manjuji.
You're also very solution based, aren't you?
I guess that comes from my analytical training,
Right.
my long years in the business world, and of course as a consultant, where my job was to try and understand people's problems and trying to find solutions that were practical and actionable for them, and that would make a difference for them. So I think your long years of business training, long years of being in the corporate sector, do equip you well to have that learning and service mindset.
One thing that bothers me about India is there are a lot of media controversies and media trials. How do you handle all of that?
Well, as you know, we have a very noisy media. We have a very diverse media, and different people want to rake up different kinds of issues and use that to serve their own agenda, their own purposes. And I think you have to stay focused on what you're trying to do, which is to help people. You have to understand and know whether you've done the right thing. And remember that injustice anywhere, Manjuji, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So as long as you focus on justice, as long as you focus on doing the right things for people, then you always are able to, with a clear heart, answer anybody who asks you any questions. And so that's, I think, very important when you're dealing with the media and the trial by media that often happens in India, is to make sure you keep doing the right thing, and then also with equanimity and with grace to face the people who ask tough questions and answer them as best as you can. So I think that that mindset of trying to do the right thing and being honestly able to answer questions is what serves you well when you deal with India's
media. So one of the things that I've really enjoyed watching when I've seen you on YouTube is that you're a great orator. And I think you write a lot of your stuff yourself. And in the world that we live nowadays in social media, where everything you say is taken with such pride or sometimes with a pinch of salt, the leaders who really are very successful are the great orators of the world, like, of course, Prime Minister Modi ji, President Obama. For a big speech that you have to give, whether it's in Lok Sabha or addressing masses that you do, whether it's in Hindi or in English, you seem to do it all so well. So how do you prepare for it?
Manjuji, in India, unlike in the US, where you have very smart young people who've been to the top universities, work in the staff and write their speeches and are able to weave together wonderful prose and poetry. We have none of those resources in India. So we pretty much have to make it up as we go along. It's very spontaneous. हिंदी में एक शब्द है धारा प्रभाव, यानी कि आप फ्लो में बोलते चले जाए, go with the flow. तो धारा प्रभाव जो है वो ले आना बहुत जरूरी है और वो आपको अपनी भाषा में लाना पड़ता है. And another very important thing in India is that you really have to be able to establish a very powerful, as I was saying earlier, emotional connect through what you say and how you say. And then you have wonderful speakers, orators like the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Rajnath Singh ji, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, the late Srimati Sushma Swaraj ji. there are absolute masters when it comes to public speaking. I had the great good fortune of having worked very closely with Shri Arun Jaitley ji, who was an exceptional parliamentarian.
Right, right.
Sitting next to him for hours and years, I was fortunate enough to do, and seeing his interventions in parliament, how he conducted himself, his judgment on important issues. Those are all ways in which you learn how to conduct yourself and how to speak. But as I said, the way you speak in English and the way you conduct yourself in English, and the way you speak in Hindi and the way you conduct yourself in Hindi, आसमान जमीन का अंतर है.
Yes,
मैं
yes.
बहुत लोगों को यही समझाता हूँ कि अगर अंग्रेजी में हॉलीवुड कर रहे हैं तो हिंदी में बॉलीवुड करना पड़ेगा. तो
बहुत जरूरी है.
आप बॉलीवुड में आप कैसे बोलिएगा, आप कैसे भाषण दीजिएगा, वही रूप आपको अपनाना पड़ता है जब आप हिंदुस्तान में आप भाषण देते हैं. तो वो तरीका है और एक लिहाज है, एक अंदाज है जो आपको हिंदुस्तान में अपनाना पड़ता है, जो बिल्कुल अलग होता है. तो you have to I think really absorb that and learn from the masters. And on that I have a wonderful story, in the sense that I was once on the stage with the Honorable Prime Minister, and this was a function where there were school children present, and they were asking the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Modi ji, a variety of questions. And one girl got up and she asked what I thought was a very intelligent, probing question. And she asked the Honorable Prime Minister, "Sir, you are such a good orator. आप इतने अच्छे वक्ता हैं. अगर आप इतने अच्छे वक्ता हैं, तो आप कैसे आप इतना बढ़िया आप बोलना सीखे? आपने कैसे किया?" So he thought for a moment, and then he said something that I have always remembered. And he said कि अगर मैं अच्छा वक्ता हूँ बेटी, तो मैं इसलिए हूँ क्योंकि मैं बड़े गहराई से लोगों की बातें सुनता हूँ, बहुत सोच विचार से लोगों की बातें सुनता हूँ. यानी कि the reason I am able to communicate well is because I'm a good listener. And therefore, the ability to listen, the ability to absorb and hear what people are really saying, and not just the story, but the story behind the story, that I think is very important. And I think that's what helps you a lot when you want to communicate.
Gently, all the success that you've had, there has also been a lot of sacrifices in your life. I have been privileged to get to know your wife, your beautiful wife, Punita, and I know your two great sons too. How do you make it all work as a family, and why do you think it's so necessary to do what you do?
Manju ji, I'm a very, very lucky and fortunate person. And I have a very wonderful and supportive wife, Punita, and two absolutely talented and spectacular young men, my two boys, who have supported me. And they have made all the sacrifices so that I could pursue, what I thought I should be doing in public life. It's been difficult for them. It's not easy. And I think, as they say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So I have been very much a fool in that regard. And if it was not for their patience and their support, it would absolutely not be possible for me to do what I've done. And it's not easy because you have to travel a lot, you have to be away from the family a lot. There's a huge financial cost of course, leaving behind your professional life and getting into public life. That, of course, is a large price that you have to pay. But much more important than that is actually the opportunity cost of not being with your family, not being there during their important moments. So, for example, when my son graduated from high school, I couldn't be there. So there are many such moments that you miss, and it does extract the price. And the only way you try and justify it is to say that you're helping people, and if the family is supporting you, then we are collectively helping people. And again, I come back to my core principle, which is Seva Parmo Dharam.
Right. Politics is not for faint-hearted. So what's next for Jayant Sinha?
Manju ji, I wish I knew. I said Seva Parmo Dharam. So, you really try to be as thoughtful as possible, to be as supportive as possible to everybody around you, and to keep contributing, learning, growing, be the best you can be. And then after that, the road takes you wherever the road takes you, right? You never know where you're going to end up. And I think this is the essence of our philosophy. This is the essence of what we are taught to be a Karam Yogi. and to just do the best we can. And after that, the life takes care of everything else. So we do the best we can.
Well, thank you so much. We wish you the very best in life. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manjuji. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.